So I got a tag on Twitter from Amanagawa True. Appreciate the tag. This base tweet saying, "Hey Hero, hey, can you cover this situation on your channel? SAG-AFTRA is planning another annoying situation." And I'm so grateful that the people who watch my videos are based like this, who see through the nonsense that SAG-AFTRA continues to peddle. So let's get the context, starting with this brief YouTube short from Darkos88.
Paimon VA explained how to fix the missing English voices. Turns out, Hoyo just needs to sign the interim agreement. Right now, many VAs legally can't work because of the strike. It's not that they don't want to, they can't unless Hoyo signs. If they do, the VAs can return, no matter which studio records them. We can actually help by forcing them to listen. Genshin has a survey on voiceover issues. Go there, say you're very unsatisfied, and tell them to sign the agreement. If a lot of players do it, they maybe will listen. Paimon.
So yeah, for those that don't know, Hoyo vs. MiHoYo are the devs behind Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, etc, etc. And of course, the SAG-AFTRA Western voice actor strike is affecting a number of games and companies. The focus of that short in this video is talking about how it's affecting Hoyoverse though. And a number of Hoyoverse characters in their various games have not been having any English voice actors because those VAs are a part of SAG-AFTRA and therefore also a part of the strike. And the way SAG-AFTRA and a number of English voice actors here in the West have been approaching this whole thing has been very deceitful. For example, they will go to the public trying to say like, oh, it's just innocent voice actors trying to get protections against the use of AI, but they conveniently leave out how the negotiations are really not just about AI protection, but that they're also trying to get more money, and how their terms can also negatively impact non-union voice actors, causing them to lose their jobs. Then there's all this moral grandstanding that a number of union VAs have had, where they're acting like they're entitled to the public fighting on their behalf, while again screwing over non-union VAs and potentially even taking their jobs from them. It's a really bad look, and I'll break that down further all right now. So at the start of this video, I mentioned how glad I am that my viewers are in the loop with this stuff and know better than to just believe whatever Western VAs say and whatever SAG-AFTRA says. And the great news is that the comments of that YouTube short also include a bunch of people calling that stuff out too. This is quite a big difference from what we saw a few years ago, when so many people on the internet would just believe anything English voice actors told them, no matter what narrative they were trying to spin. Now we see so many people not falling for that kind of manipulation, and it's a very wholesome development. So hopping over to the comments of that YouTube short, and you can see what I mean. Sorting by top comments, we've got ones that read, "Is it that simple though? Himiko VA shared the info that signing the agreement would mean that non-union actors would lose their job. Basically, they are caught between a crossfire because union actors can't work with non-approved projects, and if they sign the agreement, non-union actors would either lose their job or be forced to join the union, and they are not part of it for their own reasons." One of the responses that comment gets is this one that says, "You're technically right. Hoyo can't sign it because they risk losing some non-union VAs. But it's actually because the non-union VAs have a chance to sign on to the project then. But if it's their third time doing so, they are forced to join the union. It sucks. And SAG only cares about it for the leverage/power they get from it." So this whole third time thing being mentioned there is probably referring to the Taft-Hartley Act, and I'll do my best to try and explain why that could be a problem. Hypothetically, if Hoyo signs this union agreement and those roles all become union roles, non-union voice actors would only be able to work those roles up to a third time, in which if they do activate that third hit, so to speak, they could be mandated to join the union, or no longer be able to get those roles at all, basically having those roles hijacked from them essentially. Some people have even argued that it's basically extortion. And of course, any SAG-AFTRA members who are extremely pro-union are likely going to be happy with any leverage that the union has over non-union voice actors. Some of them feel that non-union VAs are only hurting the union and its members. And so if the non-union voice actors lose their jobs or are forced to join SAG-AFTRA, the diehard SAG-AFTRA members will view that as a win-win. Now, of course, while some SAG-AFTRA members are like that, not all of them are so extreme and sadistic towards non-union VAs. However, actions do speak louder than words when the terms of their own union are harmful to non-union voice actors. Another top comment reads, "In all fairness, I disagree. If Hoyoverse signs, they risk losing some non-union talent. SAG-AFTRA is being impossible here, and they want complete control over the industry. It's that simple." So my statement to y'all is this: don't spam Hoyo to sign the agreement. Spam SAG-AFTRA to release the strike. Tell them it's time to end this. Once again, this is a very positive change where so many people are no longer falling for the manipulations of the union. Very wholesome change to see. Like right here, I'll show you a hilariously pathetic example of how union voice actors attempted to weaponize fans to empower the union. Activist outlet The Mary Sue wrote, "Voice actors offer cosplayers a fun way to support the SAG-AFTRA strike." And so this section here talks about a panel of voice actors that gathered to talk about the strike. In particular, this paragraph reads, "Secondly, the panelists said, cosplayers at San Diego Comic-Con and other events can weave SAG support into their costumes. Check out this next part. Crabtree Ireland clarified that while SAG members and influencers are barred from cosplaying under the terms of the strike, it's okay for hobbyists to cosplay. My suggestion to cosplayers would be that if you're supportive of the strike, figure out a way to combine your support for the strike with your favorite characters. Then you're actually helping us send the message we're trying to send, which is that the community at large is united in supporting us in the demands that we're making, which are reasonable demands. Yeah, okay, bro. And so next they talk about the voice actress Ashley Birch, the voice actress for Aloy from the Horizon series, and Chloe from Life is Strange. And they say, the panelists even suggested that cosplayers dress up as SAG President Fran Drescher, who made waves with her impassioned speech announcing the strike. Quote, I have a pitch and you can take it or leave it, Birch said. I would love to see some Fran Drescher cosplay. Do your magic. I'd love to see it. Yeah, so Birch is trying to get people to cosplay the SAG president. What the frick? So it's really weird how they're trying to police cosplay like this, trying to say certain people are not allowed to cosplay characters because that could hurt the strike, and like recommending people to weave SAG support into their costumes like some kind of SAG badge or something. Even trying to get people to give up other cosplay ideas and instead cosplay the SAG president. Yeah, it's just bizarre stuff. Hopping over to the subreddit for Honkai Star Rail, and we can see that even over there from 2 months ago, on a post about SAG-AFTRA and the strike and all that, that top comments were calling the stuff out too. For example, this one that reads, don't really like how if the union actors return, they have to remove non-union voice actors, and there's the chance for them to be blacklisted. Huh, lose-lose for Hoyo. Response they got reads, it's also a bit unfair because I was watching a stream of Emily's son, Claire's English voice actor, and she said that she was supporting the terms of the strike despite not being in SAG-AFTRA herself. Her rationale for this was that she was still too early in her VA career to join them, but wanted to show willingness to follow their terms. I imagine for future reference if the time ever came for her to join. So there are non-union VAs who are not established enough to join a union despite wanting to, who would theoretically be kicked out and replaced by that very union should the developers elect to make them a union game. I can't be the only person who sees the issue with that. That's to say nothing of the fact that these union members are knowingly going against the golden rule of their own organization by signing onto these non-union games, but then striking in its name to leverage the strain of unvoiced characters and lower customer satisfaction to achieve that very outcome. Unless I am misinterpreting the options Hoyo actually has here, it feels like unions and their VAs are in direct conflict of interest with non-union VAs. The only way to bring them back is to then replace the non-union VAs with SAG-AFTRA voices, which comes off as quite sinister. No wonder they turn a blind eye to these things. As for Hoyoverse themselves, I wouldn't say this is really a lose-lose position for them. If anything, it might be SAG getting into more of a losing position, as all of this might actually be a wake-up call for Hoyoverse and therefore indirectly other gaming companies to see that they might not need these union voice actors as much as they thought they did. After all, Hoyoverse is still making a lot of money despite some of their characters not having English voices like they used to have. One example of a game that no longer has an English dub at all is Snowbreak Containment Zone. Niche Gamer had wrote about this, saying, Snowbreak is a gacha game that previously cut its English dub late last year after evaluating voiceover preferences, quote unquote. This means most people were probably listening in Japanese anyways. However, as the game has slowly gained more popularity, they have seemingly reached out to the English VAs to bring them back. However, it turns out that the English voice actors said they don't want to go back to voicing in the game because the game is too focused on fan service. The fan response to this news has ranged from apathetic to celebratory, with some considering the VAs effectively filtered or gatekept from the hobby. The implication is that if they dislike the fan service, they probably dislike the game and may not be professional when performing. On a Snowbreak Reddit post about this stuff, there were top comments like this: whether they do or don't bring the voice actors back, I honestly don't mind. I'd rather have their finances spent on characters and gameplay. Similarly, the next top comment reads, very unlikely now since they're redoing story chapters with CN and JP VAs. Another top comment saying, I'd like to have them back as well. Being able to listen to the story in English helps. But, well, the English voiceover industry and the Western entertainment industry in general are so politically correct that they oppose the idea of voicing Snowbreak that now has attractive and revealing designs for female characters. Not to mention the female cast showing clear romantic interest in the main character, which is a man, and we all know they hate that. While EN voice would help, I don't want the money to be spent on people who would trash on the game and spite its direction. I don't want to listen to a voice in game, bond with the character, only to find out later that the VA is a bit unhinged, and insists on her character being a sexual non-binary with they them pronouns or some other headcanon BS, thinking that she owns the character and uses her position to push ideas and lament on Twitter about how ticked she is that men played and take a liking to the character she voiced. By the way, at least the part about the non-binary thing there isn't even just hypothetical, as that did happen with Paimon in Genshin Impact and Paimon's voice actor, as Paimon's voice actor does claim to be non-binary, at least the last time I looked, and then was trying to say that Paimon canonically was as well, despite that not being true, and getting very upset at people on social media who claim that it's not true. Anyways, that post ends by saying, if there was a way to source English voice actors that don't trash on fans and what we love, or try to influence the game away from Snowbreak's fanservice ideals, it'd be great. But for now, as CSUN have found out, there doesn't seem to be a way. CSUN being the devs and publishers for Snowbreak. So with that example, and all the stuff going on with Hoyoverse, we may actually see more games from overseas, deciding that it's not even worth it for them to bring on English voice actors, thinking that it's all too much of a bother. Or at the very least, perhaps only going with voice actors who are not a part of a union. So we'll have to wait and see how that all continues to play out. As always, thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you think about this stuff in the comments. And if you enjoyed my coverage, please also consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate ya, and I'll see you in the next one.